Wow. Thank you so much, Caroline and Ella. I don't think an aunt has ever been more proud of their nieces as I am of both of you. Having you both in my life makes me so happy, and I'm really grateful for that. And thank you to Ms. Crawland, because I definitely remember sitting in her class, looking out the window, being like, this woman is never going to give up trying to teach me math. So I better get it together and try and figure it out to put us both out of our misery. So thank you for that commitment. I got an A in mathematical modeling to prove that I did finally understand what you were writing on the board, and have had a good career in finance as a result. And about geometry, I still don't know what they were talking about. Freshmen, I'm sorry, it's just hard, and you'll never use it, so don't worry about it. So when I was your age, I remember sitting through painful alumni presentations at 8 a.m. on a Monday. It just seems cruel. But what I learned was someday I would graduate, and that was exciting to me because I was really looking forward to my future. And so I can assure you that someday you will graduate, and Shady Side Academy apparently will still assign you homework at 39 years old. So I'm really excited to be here today with all of you. And you know, Shady Side is an incredible commitment by your families to you as children. I mean, this is $14 million of tuition in this room right now. That's a huge financial commitment, so I hope you're all grateful and do your best. For those of you who made Cum Laude, great job. You're someone who studies hard, who has high aptitude, and who has done the hard work to get where you are. Don't ever be intimidated by anyone when you go to college that went to Exeter or Andover or Swiss boarding school. You're just as well prepared as any of them. But what I would recommend is that you keep an eye out for the kid in your class who's the first kid to go to college in their whole family. The kid in your class who lives at home and struggles to pay for school. There's always something to be learned from those kids because they haven't had all the opportunities you have. So you have to work hard and be grateful for what you do have and support others who might not have had the same chances as you. For those of you who didn't make Cum Laude, don't worry about it. It's not that big a deal. You are going to have a really successful life as well. This is just a statement about where you rank in your class. This isn't a statement about where you rank in your life or who you're going to be when you grow up. So I know it's really hard when you're in high school not to think that everything that happens isn't the final statement of who you are as a person, whether you're smart enough or fast enough or good enough. But I can assure you that this is really just the beginning for you guys. You need to think of high school as a prologue or an overture. This is just the beginning, and you want to set yourselves up by doing really hard work so that when your time comes, you can be successful. You know, success isn't always making Cum Laude society. You know, for a lot of people, it means a lot of different things. So I'll just give you a couple examples from my time at Shady Side. My classmate, Jesse Shapira, was the Oscar-nominated producer of the movie The Room this year. He's who I thought Jamie wanted to call and get as the alumni speaker and was just calling me for his number. But, you know, another schoolmate of mine, Christian Borle, was the Tony Award-winning Broadway star who had a TV show spun off because of his talented performance on Broadway. You know, Zach Kaufman last year, I think he's at the Supreme Court, none of which comes as a surprise to me. You're surrounded by incredibly talented people, both academically, but also artistically and in the theater arts as well. So when you think about your classmates at Shady Side and you're like, wow, they're really good, the truth is they are really good. So don't ever be intimidated the rest of your life. So, hi freshmen, I see you up there. I remember being a freshman and sitting in the Cum Laude assembly and thinking to myself, I am never going to make Cum Laude. And for me, it worried me because I had two super high-performing older sisters. Now, they're the kind of older sisters that are valedictorian, get early admissions to Ivy League colleges, that then walk on to sports teams. It was a lot to live up to, and I was afraid that I was going to be like, oh, Loretta and Christina are the CEOs of Google and Apple, and Claire's unemployed and has no hope for her future. So I was a little concerned about my personal performance going forward, but I was really lucky because I had a front row seat to their success. You know, I saw what it took to get where they were going, and frankly, there's no magic. They just worked really, really hard. And so I remember sitting in my high school bedroom and writing draft after draft of my US history paper, and sitting in row commons trying to learn math, and doing extra credit assignments for AP Bio with my lab partner, Matt Fisher. I don't know if any of you knew him from the middle school. He was my lab partner. And so I said, I could have given up and said, I'm never going to be as smart or as successful as my sisters, but instead I just doubled down and was lucky to make Cum Laude when I was a senior. So my rule number one is work hard. That's about it. How many of you guys saw the movie Creed? Did anybody see it? Okay. So there's this one scene in the movie where an aging Rocky Balboa is standing beside the side of the ring, and he's coaching Apollo Creed's son. Sorry if that's a spoiler alert. And and he steps into the side of the ring, and Rocky Balboa starts going, it's one step at a time, one punch at a time, one round at a time. And that really resonated for me, because when I think about both my high school experience and my professional experience, it's Tuesday's calc test, and it's Thursday's Spanish quiz, and it's Friday's hockey game. You have to be prepared for all of them. You have to do the work every day. You have to take it one step at a time, one punch at a time, one round at a time. And you know what? Sometimes you won't do great on something, and you won't meet your own expectations or those of your teachers. You have to shake it off. Sorry, Taylor Swift. And, get back in the game and just keep going. You have to be resilient, because ultimately, you're the one who decides how your match ends. And if you put in the work and you take it one step at a time, you'll get where you're going. So, when it came to the time for me to apply to colleges, I felt a lot of pressure. My sisters were at Dartmouth and Georgetown, and I was excited because I thought, well, maybe I could go to a school like that. And I was also intimidated because I was like, what if I don't get in anywhere? So I was not the kid that got in early. For all of you that didn't get in early, it's okay. I was the kid in April calling my mom on the office phone, because we didn't have cell phones, being like, Mom, did the mail come? Mom, did the mail come? And she would bring me envelopes to the back of Mem Hall, and I would open them to see if I got in. Well, 2 of those envelopes said the dreaded words, wait list. I was like, oh my God, this will never end. I will never get into college. And so I decided that I would just keep going. I wasn't going to freak out, and I knew that ultimately my hard work would lead me where I wanted to go, and even if it didn't, I could always transfer. So finally, I get this phone call. It's from Georgetown. It's the admissions officer. Hi, do you want to go to Georgetown? I'm like, yeah, it's my first choice. Of course, if you let me in, I'll come. And I hang up the phone. I'm like, oh, hope that went well. The phone rings. It's Brown University. If you want to go to Brown University, you have to tell us your first choice. You're in. So I'm standing there, and I'm like, I just told Georgetown it's my first choice, and now this is Brown saying, are you our first choice? And I was like, what am I supposed to do? So I said, well, if you send me the letter, I'll definitely make a decision. And ultimately, I got into Georgetown and Brown, even though I didn't give them an answer, and went to Georgetown. So remember, sometimes the wait list happens, and that's okay, because if you work all the way to the end, whether it's on your school work or your foul shot or whatever, when your time comes and they say, do you want this? You can answer yes, and you can know that you're ready to go. So when I was a freshman at Georgetown, I did really well academically. The good news is all your hard work at Shady Side will pay off. I felt incredibly well prepared academically while people around me were really struggling. I had learned how to learn at Shady Side, and that's something that I've taken with me my whole life. So when it came time sophomore year, there was an ad, and it was an ad for the Baker Scholar Program that Caroline and Ella mentioned. And it's the most competitive scholarship at Georgetown. It's only 5 people. It's based both on grades, but also achievements outside the classroom. And I just said, why not apply? What if I get it? So I applied. I was interviewed by 21 people in one day, and it was really one of the most exhausting days of my life. And I can assure you, I was far from the perfect candidate. I'm pretty confident that I had the lowest grades and the fewest activities of anyone ever selected to the Baker Scholar Program, but I like to think that I got in because as we went through the 21 interviews, I just stayed focused, I stayed present, and I stayed in the game. And when it came to the end of the day, a lot of the more high-performing kids had sort of fallen apart. And I think that by keeping my wits about me and having endurance, which is something I learned at Shady Side in the swimming pool with Coach Landreth, I really wanted to stop most of the time, I'll be honest. I was able to survive that day. So that brings me to rule number 3. You only get things you apply for in life. If you don't apply, you will never become a Baker Scholar. And even if you don't, at least you had the experience of 21 interviews in one day. So always apply for anything you're interested in. So after Georgetown, much like in high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And I came up with this idea. I would just say yes to opportunities that came my way, whether I was ready or not. So my advice to you is when you graduate from college, and maybe you also won't know what you want to do with your life, quit trying to find the perfect job in the perfect city for the perfect salary. Just do something. Even if you hate it, you'll learn a ton about what you do and you don't like, and that's a valuable lesson in and of itself. Not everything is going to be perfect when you're 22 years old. So for me, saying yes to opportunities that came my way sort of led me on a crazy path. I lived in a villa in Italy for a summer writing. I went to Sydney, Australia for 6 months and worked on East Asian security issues. And then I went to the London School of Economics to get my master's. And each one of those opportunities wasn't a carefully calculated move. It was something that came across my radar that I applied for, and then when I got in, I just went for it. Also thanks to my parents who supported many of my adventures. So it also led me on some adventures that were a little bit scary. I got this opportunity to work with AmeriCorps in South Central LA, and I will never forget the moment that I had left my cushy job in New York City working for the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, and traded that in for a bombed out house in South Central LA. And I got to the door of my office, and it was all shot up by bullets. And I was like, oh my God, if my mother finds out what I signed up for, she's going to kill me. But I opened the door and I went in, and I had one of the most amazing years of my life. So even when adventures and opportunities scare you, they're still worth taking. So I really encourage you to say yes to opportunities whether you're ready or not. So it was during this time when I was moving around a lot and trying to figure out what to do with my life when a fellow Shady Side Academy alum introduced me to my husband. And so be nice to your classmates. He wasn't really my friend, but he did introduce me to my husband, so I'm really grateful for that. And in return, we introduced him to his wife. So I figured it was worth surviving 4 years of announcements just to meet my spouse from Shady Side, and a lot of dress code violations. I'll be honest, I had a lot. So my husband is a serial entrepreneur. He's the guy that went to CMU undergrad and grad school and has done 8 startups. And I would tell you what he's doing now, but I would probably have to make you all sign a non-disclosure agreement. But for you, those of you that have tech ambitions, I can assure you Pittsburgh is a great place to become a tech entrepreneur. It's a lot different than the environment in Silicon Valley, and I would encourage you to come back and work on those tech projects here. Because he was doing that, you actually can have a career making robots, everyone, if you're interested. We decided to stay in Pittsburgh, and I went to Pitt Law. And there was a bunch of Shady Side Academy students with me at Pitt Law, and they were great allies. You know, we told each other what to take and what to avoid and what internships were good. So my Shady Side family has really played an incredible role in my career over time in lots of different ways. So despite utilizing rule number 1, work hard, I didn't make law review my first year at Pitt. And in law school, that's a really big deal because the best jobs and the most prestigious internships go to kids that make law review. So I was really, really disappointed. But then I remembered rule number 2, sometimes you make the wait list. So being the good future lawyer that I was, I read all the technical detail and found that there was a loophole. If you get an A in federal income taxation your second year of law school, you make a law journal automatically. So I was like, I'm going to take that loophole. I took federal income taxation, which I currently have no interest in and previously had no interest in. And I ditched all my other finals because I knew if I got an A in this class, this would open more doors for me than any other class or grade could. So I studied really hard, and I got an A. And so I made the journal, which was really exciting for me. But what I didn't expect was that in that studying, in that act of really focusing on one class, I learned how these crazy law professors thought. And I cracked their code, and I got a 4.0 the rest of law school. So it was really in that focused activity that I was able to understand what they were talking about when it didn't come naturally to me. So when all else fails, just stay in there longer than other people. So at this point, after college, a couple grad schools, $1 bajillion of tuition, and a couple different jobs all over the world, you would think that I had a really clear vision of what I wanted to do when I grew up, but I still wasn't sure. All I knew is that I wanted to do something that mattered to me. I wanted to make Pittsburgh a better place. So that brings me to rule number 5. Do something that matters to you. Otherwise, your whole career, where you spend millions of hours working at, is going to be really unsatisfying. Now, this isn't to say that there aren't lots of ways to find meaning in your job. You can find meaning from your colleagues, you can find meaning in the technical work that you're doing, or you can find meaning in providing for your family. But you need to do something that matters to you. And for me, I knew that changing Pittsburgh to make it a new vision of the modern American city and shaking off that dusty Rust Belt image was really important to me. So I got a job at the Urban Redevelopment Authority, where I had the unique experience of having 3 bosses: the mayor, the head of the school board, and the head of the Urban Redevelopment Authority, all 3 of whom have 3 very different goals. So that taught me a lot about managing people and their expectations and managing your own boss, or all your bosses. I don't recommend taking a job where you have 3 bosses. You can file that away under things not to do. But I really learned so much about real estate development in the Pittsburgh market, and it led me to my next opportunity, which was to be the general counsel for East Liberty Development. And East Liberty has really undergone a renaissance unparalleled in American cities. At the turn of the century, 1900, East Liberty was the wealthiest zip code in America. Imagine that. This was where Mellon, Carnegie, Westinghouse, all these great industrialists lived and worked and had the first cars. The first gas station was in Bloomfield. And so here was this incredible American place that just survived really devastating economic decline. And at the turn of this century, it was one of the poorest zip codes in the United States of America. But that poverty, in a way, represented an opportunity to change the built environment through the utilization of tax credits. So I took Ms. Crawlin's math class, and I took my federal income taxation class, and I put them together, and we worked on a ton of projects utilizing specialized financing through tax credits. And ultimately, I think all of you can see the difference that East Liberty has changed so much, even in the last 10 years, the last 5 years, and it'll change even more in the next 5 years. So when the opportunity came up for me to start my own business with my partner, who went to Shady Side Academy Junior School, who may or may not have been kicked out of Shady Side Academy Junior School, but he's still a good business partner, we said, why not go for it? So we got the opportunity to start our own company, and our first project was the Ace Hotel in Pittsburgh. How many of you have been to Ace Hotel or know what I'm talking about? Thanks. How many of you have been to the restaurant Whitfield at the Ace? Excellent. Thank you for the revenue. Keep it up. If you haven't tried it, you definitely should. So there was no magic formula to our success. We just kept hustling long past the point of being reasonable. And when the math and finance and strategy got too hard, I did what any good Shady Side kid does. I called the smartest kid in my high school math class. I was like, David Kamen, I need some help. I don't know how to do this. And he helped me. So these relationships will help you throughout your life. When I started my company and we began development on the Ace Hotel, I think it was a really the ultimate test of my 4 rules. So in true Shady Side Academy style, I'll go over them one more time. Work hard. Ideas don't happen because they're great ideas or really cool ones. They happen whether it's in tech or real estate because people work incredibly hard to make them a reality. Rule 2, sometimes the wait list happens. Everything takes longer than you think. The Ace Hotel took us 4 years to get together the financing and to open the doors. And that was really hard. It was pretty brutal, but our stamina is what allowed us to succeed. Rule 3, you're not gonna get anything that you don't apply for. We wanted an Ace Hotel, and we convinced them to come here and do it. So it's through that hard work and that perseverance that that relationship was possible. And honestly, we were turned down by 21 lenders to do this deal. But you know what? The 22nd said yes. So you have to just keep going. So rule number 4, say yes to opportunities whether you're ready or not. This was the biggest deal we had ever done. It was 5 times or maybe even 10 times bigger than any deal we'd ever done in our entire lives. And we went for it. And maybe we weren't ready, and maybe we were in over our heads, but you know what? The front doors are open, and you guys are enjoying it now. So sometimes you just have to go for it, whether you're ready or not. And rule number 5, do something that matters to you. And for me, the Ace Hotel mattered because it was a historic building in a place that really was undergoing a lot of transformation, and it deserved a new life. And we were really careful with our development there. You know, we brought over 100 jobs to a neighborhood that we cared about, and we reserved a large percentage of those for low-income local residents. So there are ways to do things differently that cause economic improvement for everybody in the neighborhood. So here I am, I'm 39 years old. I just finished the biggest project of my life. And like so many of you, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do when I grow up. I'm really not so sure what I'm going to do next. But I know the great adventures in life really come, whether they're love or a startup or a hotel or moving across the country, when you don't try and be perfect, when you just try and do something and do the best that you can. So my advice to all of you is stop trying to be perfect. It's impossible, and frankly, it's boring. You're never going to get to do anything innovative or exciting if you're living in a prison of your own desire for perfection. When you let go of the need to be perfect, you can invent yourself over and over again your whole life. And so just be prepared for what comes next, take a deep breath, and get in the ring. I'm going to be there right beside you. And together we can take it one step, one punch, one round at a time. Thank you.